All righty. Okay, so this first problem. Now, again, you can't just react to the numbers that you see. I mean, I know that's a human tendency, but that's one of the things about mathematics that might be difficult. These have parallel lines. Okay, so now I labeled the OP parallel lines, and TN are the transversals. So 60 and X are connected by the transversal T. They're in between the parallel lines, and they're both to the right of the transversal. So they're on the same side of the transversal. So that's consecutive interior. Okay, so then subtract 180 minus 60 to get X. You could also solve this equation. The two angles add to be 180, which is really what you're doing when you subtract 60. You're just skipping the step of writing the equation. Okay, now the transversal N connects the Y and the 110. Okay, now 110 is not interior. Y is interior. So this probably means they're corresponding. All right, notice Y and 110 are both below parallel line and both left of the transversal. Okay, so these are corresponding. So that means Y equals 110. Now, the second problem was the one of these three problems that's a little more involved. But the way you do these is figure out, okay, which transversal am I using? Which angles are connected to the same transversal? What type of angles do we have here? Consecutive interior angles or supplementary? Corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, so when you have the second problem, they give you the parallel lines. They also give you expressions for Z and W. The expression for Z has the X in it, whereas W has a Y in it. All right, so this is tricky because there's a lot of things that you got to pay attention to. When you got a lot of things that you got to pay attention to, you can get overwhelmed, which is why people get confused. They're overwhelmed with what they got to pay attention to. Again, a normal human thing. So the key here is we got to find X. Once we find X, we can find Z because we can use this expression. And if you notice, W and Z make a linear pair. Okay? So these are all terms that we've been trying to learn. Okay? But that doesn't mean we remember, right? Okay. So the X and the 83 are connected by the same transversal. Notice they're consecutive interior. Okay, because they're both above the transversal and in between the parallel lines. So that means we get X by subtracting from 180. All right, so 97. Okay, now we can find Z because we have an equation that we can use to find Z if we find the X. Okay, so then we'll be able to find X by solving that equation. Okay, and that's 125. All right, and now W and Z make a linear pair, which means they're supplementary. They combine to make a straight angle. And so then solve this equation or take the shortcut, subtract from 180. Okay, so we got the last problem on the class task for today. Okay, and so here, the key thing in this problem is if you go in a full circle, how many degrees are in a full circle? Does anybody remember how many degrees are in a full circle? Correct, Vi? 360 degrees. So the way we're going to get the angle here at A, which we're going to need to get the angle here at C, because A and C are consecutive interior. Okay, now I know C is written on the outside, but that's just because it's labeling this point. The angle C is right here. Okay, so we're going to subtract from 360 and then subtract from 180. Okay, so we get A, because this is a full circle, by subtracting those two from 360. And then we have consecutive interior. So once you get A, you're going to get C by subtracting what you get when you do this problem from 180.